Howdy everybody, back again. This time I'm going to take a stab at explaining a really cool concept called transactional analysis. It's at the heart of pretty much everything we do from a communication standpoint at Intrigue, and it's a big part of the development of our people. It's been a huge impact on my life in terms of the way I communicate and interact, not only at work but also at home. So transactional analysis is what it's called. It's the birth child of Dr. Eric Byrne. He's a Canadian guy, actually. I just found that out last year, which is kind of neat. I've been studying this stuff for like 10 years. And it's really all about a model of communication. So a transaction is an interaction between two or more people. So transactional analysis is really a model of how different types of interactions that people have. So to start with, this is just kind of like bare bones basics 101 on a transactional analysis. It came from Dr. Eric Byrne, and it was birthed on a day where he was a psychiatrist, and he was talking to this guy. I think he was a lawyer, doesn't matter really, and they were talking about something serious, and the person, his client, giggled. And he was like, why are you laughing right now? And the client said to him, there's a little kid inside me that thought that was funny. And that just kind of sparked this idea, but what's that all about? And so, years of research, and now decades later, it's a formal study. The tenets of transactional analysis have been confirmed and reinforced by like neuroscience. And it's no longer just a model of communication. It's actually grounded in biology and neuroscience. And there's schools all over the world. You can get a master's degree in transactional analysis. You can get a doctorate, PhD. So it's actually like widely accepted as like the reality in terms of like what's going on with people and how they communicate. So here's how it goes. I'm gonna break it down. So really, it talks about how we all have 3 ego states. A parent, an adult, and a child. And at any given time, we're reacting or responding from one of those ego states. And to break it down a bit more, we all have a nurturing parent, and we have a critical parent in terms of our ego states when it comes to being a parent. Nurturing parent sounds something like this. When you see a little toddler running across the room with milk in his hand, he spills it, nurturing parent says, "That's okay, no reason to cry over spilled milk, let's clean it up together, I'll show you how." Now, many of us might not have been fortunate enough to have someone like that, but if we did in our lives, and that's great, we've been modeled on nurturing parent, which is amazing. Critical parent sounds something like this. Same kids running across the room, spills milk, and critical parent sounds like, "You dummy, I told you not to walk around with milk in your hand. Can't believe you spilt that, big dummy." It's critical parent. You might have experienced that in your life, maybe not, but that's what critical parent sounds like. The next piece is the child state. Child state, there's kind of 3 different components, and there's variations of this, but just for the sake of today, I'm going to keep it simple. And there's 3 different child states. The first one is the natural child. This is the little kid inside of us that just wants to have fun. Usually if it's sunny outside on a summery day, maybe on a Friday at 2 o'clock, we want to leave and go play golf or, jump in a pool, jump in a lake, something like that. It's this natural tendency to want to go experience joy and pleasure and just have fun. The other child in our ego states is the rebellious child. And, you've probably all experienced one of these before, but like you can say, "Hey, go clean your room," and the rebellious child says, "No, I'm not going to do that. Don't tell me what to do." And "don't tell me what to do" is really at the core of rebellious child. The next child state is adaptive child, and this is the child inside of us that changes our behavior in order to make somebody happy with us. So you take that same child, go clean your room. The adaptive child inside of us will say in their mind, "I don't want to do that," but out loud they'll say, "Okay," because they want mom or dad to be happy with them. So that's the adaptive child. They adapt their behavior to make someone else happy with them. The last piece is the adult. And the adult really acts as like an information gatherer and exchanger, and it's like a filter in terms of, when you develop your adult, help you understand how to respond, whether from what ego state you want to respond. But, kind of bare bones, simple view of the adult state, it's a information exchange and collection ego state. And it's where I'm speaking right now from. It's my adult state. I'm passing information on. I don't have any emotions tied to what I'm talking about right now, and I'm just hoping that you guys will be able to take this in and use it a little bit in your everyday. So that's the adult. And to go a little bit deeper in each of them, in the parent state, when someone's speaking from their parent state, you'll hear things like opinions. So you should, be, don't be, do as you're told. They're kind of like commands and opinions. The child state, you'll hear things like emotions. So, excited, really happy, sad, fearful, anxious, emotionally based. And then the adult state is fact-finding and information exchange. So it's all about the who, what, where, why, when, how type of information that we're giving back and forth with two people. So that's kind of bare bones on transactional analysis. What does it mean, really? Well, in terms of practical everyday use, here's something that you can kind of keep in mind if you're in business or in sales. There's some tendencies that happen when we respond from a certain ego state. So, for example, if we're acting or behaving as if we're a child, we'll do one of two things typically. Will hook in another person to have them respond or react in a certain way. So if I'm acting like a child, a natural response would be from somebody else to be acting like a parent. So if I were to say, I'm really scared about something, a natural response from somebody could say, hey, that's okay, we're going to get through this, it's going to be fine. Nurturing parent. It's a natural exchange or interaction or transaction. Another one could be, I really don't want to do this, I'm not happy with this, rebellious child. Critical parent says, I don't care if you're happy with it or not, you just have to do it. And you have to do what you're told and do what I tell you. So that's critical parent response from a child state. Another kind of, and we'll stick with this one. So the idea is if you were to walk into an interaction with somebody and you were to start cueing them with child state type vocabulary and behavior, you might hook the parent in them, and they might perceive you as a child. And this will happen very subconsciously. The thing that we want to be careful when we're acting from the child state is that human beings, all of us, children, adults, parents, do not get their problems solved from children. Children don't go to children to get their problems solved. Children go to adults and parents. Adults don't go to children to solve their problems, they go to adults and parents. Parents don't go to children to solve their problems, they go to adults and parents. So if we walk into a business situation or a sales scenario and we start joking around right off the get-go, we could be hooking a parent state in someone else and they could be perceiving us as a child. Now, subconsciously, not very many people are conscious of this type of observation, but that doesn't matter because they're going to feel as though you're a child and they're going to act that way and they don't get their problem solved from children. So from a business perspective, it's not going to help us. The other thing is, if we were to walk in there and start telling people that they're wrong or they don't know what they're talking about, and coming from a rebellious state or even a critical parent state, we're going to hook critical parent in them as well. So it's just being conscious of how we're entering into situations. A lot of times I'll see salespeople, for example, say something like, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're super busy. I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with me. Well, that's putting yourself into a pretty solid child state perspective. Thanking somebody for just taking the time to meet with you, that could hook their parent or their adult, and they might not be perceiving you as on a peer-to-peer level. So as an example, in the way that you can kind of flip that around but still appreciate their time, you can say something like, hey Rob, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to meet with me today. I'm looking forward to seeing if there's something that we can help each other with. Now you're still appreciating them, but you're not thanking them like crazy and putting yourself in a subservient position. The other thing is, like, when people do follow-up emails, sometimes people will say, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me. I'm a big fan of saying, it was a pleasure to meet with you. It's a bit more peer-to-peer and kind of positions us as an adult and a trusted advisor partner in the interaction. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. Transaction analysis is a huge subject. There's like hundreds of hours of content, and I'm going to be sharing lots more. But I wanted to give you guys kind of the bare bones on transactional analysis, the ego states, parent, adult, child, and what to look for and maybe potentially avoid when in a sales interaction or like a business development situation. Okay, guys, I hope you got some value out of this one. If you have any questions about transactional analysis, leave them below. I'll either direct you to some resources or I'll put another video out talking about those the answers to those questions. Thanks a lot, guys. See ya.